Hey, what's up guys? It's Justin with California Grenadiers again. Feel kind of like a knucklehead. I haven't mentioned this particular modification that is really important. It was actually probably one of the first modifications that I did, and that is an air compressor, onboard air. Super important for off-roading, as many of you know, because when you're on the trails, you want to be able to lower the PSI on your tires. This helps with sidewall deflection, and it also increases the contact patch, and it makes the ride infinitely more comfortable. It soaks up the rocks and bumps a lot better. So your kidneys will thank you, and your back and your butt. But this was one of my first modifications. I got it from CATuned. They sent it over to me. It's actually a TJM product. I believe they're based in Australia, but they have some presence here in the US. I'm not sure if they still do, but it's a pretty good alternative to, you know, the typical ARB stuff that you see a lot of. This one is unique in comparison. It's a single compressor, unique in comparison to the ARB single, because this one is 100% duty cycle, whereas the ARB is not. To get the 100% duty cycle for the ARB, you have to get the twin compressor. So this is quite a nice option if you don't want to spend a huge amount of money and you're not super pressed for time on the trail, or really want a very fast inflator or onboard air system. This is a good option. It's also useful, you know, if, you know, in my case, I already have the lockers. The Grenadier has front and rear Eaton E-lockers, so it doesn't need air, but you know, a lot of people run ARBs and they work off of a compressor. Since I don't have that, I don't really need the twin compressor or to run like two separate single compressors, one for onboard air and one for lockers. So this is a nice option. I also like the CATuned option, how they came up with mounting this in the engine bay. If you see this little cutout here, it's like almost as if it was meant for it to go there. It's crazy. It's a fairly straightforward install. The most difficult part, I would say, is removing the fenders, because these fenders have these little plastic clips in them that you can see down here. They kind of extend all the way through. Those are attached to the fender liner, and in order to get behind there, you have to take that fender off to be able to get a wrench and stuff on there. My arms are pretty thin and I couldn't reach in there. So that's kind of a pain. You got to be careful with the clips that kind of run along here, because they can snap off. I'm sure they're pretty easily replaceable, but I try my best not to break them. I think I broke like one, but I was able to kind of jerry rig it so it works. Because when I originally got this, there were no instructions as of yet. But now I think they've provided some better instructions. But the bracket is solid. It's kind of nice here. They give you this switch here. It illuminates when you power it on. It gives you immediate access to turn the compressor on and off when you hook up to it. That's kind of nice. I'm probably going to end up bypassing this and hooking it directly to one of the overhead switches, because over here, down over here, is where you can access the two auxiliary switch wires, pre-wires. I just haven't had the time to tap it into one of the remotes and get it all set up. And then I'll get rid of this. I mean, it is a nice feature, but I'd rather have one of my switches inside operational, because that's, after all, why I paid the extra for that switch panel. But yeah, other parts of the install, it did come with a lot of wiring, big wiring harness. That was a little frustrating at the beginning because of the lack of instructions, but I was able to figure it out. It does come with a complete harness because the kit, the wiring harness is originally designed to operate the TJM lockers, I suppose, or any other lockers for that matter that are air actuated. So the harness was a bit bulky, so I had to kind of cut that down, figure out where things are supposed to be wired and whatnot. So that took a little bit of time. But overall, you know, after it was installed, super useful. Just pop the hood. I like this because I like the compressor out of the car. It gets hot. It makes a lot of noise. After a long day on the trail, I don't necessarily want to have the air compressor going off while, like, you know, my buddies are in the car, or my 6-year-old now is kind of napping and all tired and beat up after the trail. So I kind of like it outside of the car. I don't think I really have an issue with engine heat. A lot of people complain about that. I've ran compressors in the past in the engine bay with no issue. Same here. I've used this thing probably like 20 times after trails, and it holds up fine, does great. It actually fills up pretty quickly for my needs. Maybe like 2 to 3 minutes per tire, going from about 14 psi to 35 psi, so that's pretty good. I'm not really pressed for time on trails, so the speed doesn't really bother me, so that's okay. But yeah, I'm really happy with this product. Kind of like the gold color of it too, versus the blue of the ARB. I mean, you know, the blue of the ARB is kind of that bling, but sometimes it doesn't really go with the rest of the car. This is kind of nice. It kind of goes with the car, so I appreciate that. And you can see here it's got the quick access for the air hose. So fairly straightforward. Like I said, taking the fender off, installing the wire harness. I just ran the wire harness across this way to the power block. That's probably the easiest way to do it. I'm sure you could tuck it in by the firewall if you wanted to. I mean, there's multiple ways to do it, but I found that to be the easiest way, the path of least resistance. So that's the way I went, but may not need that once I tap this into the remote wire for the auxiliary panel, auxiliary switch panel. The other neat thing that came with this is the hose, and I got the deflator kit. It's kind of nice. Comes in these nice little bags. They hold their shape well and kind of help the storage and protection. You know, it's basically the same as like all the other compressor accessories and tire gauges, deflators. It has the quick disconnect and the lever here. It's digital. Doesn't have, I don't think any of them come with it, but like a locking mechanism to keep this down. So as I did on my previous stuff, I installed a zip tie, so that just keeps it open essentially, so I can set it down, walk away for a few minutes while I'm kind of loading up, let the tires fill up. It also comes with this nice little tire gauge here, so you can measure quickly. Haven't used that yet, don't really need it because this does that also, but I also have a quick deflator that pulls the valve stem, so I usually use that to check my tire pressure anyway, so it kind of doesn't really matter. Here's the hose. The thing I like about this hose is that, you know, nowadays I feel like all these compressor companies are trying to differentiate themselves with lots of bright colors and fancy looking things, and really they're just hoses. This is a black hose. My favorite color in this world is black, and I think it's just simple also for a hose. It's just a hose. So black, it's like, oh, that's nice. What a relief, you know, instead of some gaudy orange or bright green or yellow or whatever. This is just plain old black. I really like that. I really appreciate that they used you know, these black features. Yeah, so this came with you know, a lot of extra little accessories, little blow-off valve here, you know, ball, needles, tire inflator, clip-on thing here, all those little adapters to blow up like maybe like an inner tube or something. So it came with like lots of nice stuff, but it's nice having that. It's, you know, it's all quick release, standard quick release stuff. So you just hook it up over here. It's got the stem right here that comes out, and then it's just a quick release. Down below here it has the like the breather valve. It's one thing that's kind of tricky to reach, and you know, if you use that breather valve after you've been running this thing, it gets really hot, so that's kind of not the ideal position for it. I was thinking of maybe adding like a little deck cord on there or something to kind of give it an area to grab, or some paracord or something. But the workaround, I guess, because you know, you have to like be able to, when you uncouple the quick connects, the air pressure that remains in there makes it really difficult to uncouple. But all you have to do is with, you know, your inflator or deflator, and just deflate, or use the deflate button on there while it's still hooked up, turn this off, and it'll empty the tank, and then you'll have no problem hooking up. But thing's not too loud. And fills up the tank pretty quick. But yeah, fills up the tires pretty quickly. I think I said about 2-3 minutes. So yeah, imagine trying to release that when the motor's running, because you need to have the motor running when you're running the compressor, because it does have a high draw. So yeah, it inflates pretty quick. Pretty complete kit, I guess. I think I had to opt to buy this portion as an add-on, but it came with the hose, and it came with like, you know, a little generic inflator. But I mean, that's kind of useful, but you wouldn't know what your tire pressure is unless you also had a gauge anyway. So but it's a great option. There are other kits that are mounted inside the cab. I've seen some twin compressor things mounted inside the cab that it kind of takes up a lot of space. That's kind of one of my concerns, and the noise being inside the cab. Not really a fan of that. There is the compressor by Agile Offroad that's under the back seat, which is pretty trick. And then you know, they plummet to the rear, so that you just hook up your hose in the rear, and there's a switch panel back there too, so it's a really clean setup. But like I said, I like mine kind of out of the way in the dirty area instead of the clean area, which is inside the car for me. So this works really well for me. And I wanted to try something other than ARB. I've only ever ran ARBs in all the rigs, so thoroughly impressed with it. It's been good. So please tell me what you guys think. Comments, questions, I'll answer anything you guys want to talk about. Catch you next time.